Hi, everybody. My name is John DiPietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami, and welcome to the Camper Report Show.
You know, it's our pleasure every week to bring you all the latest news about the RV industry. And Bob, we always have a couple cool interviews. Who are you going to be talking with this week?
This is going to be a fun one, John. I've got John Soard from Woodland Park, RV park model homes and destination camping.
Well, mine's going to be even more funner because I'm talking to an RV expert that is giving us some great ideas for holiday gift giving for the RVer who has it all.
That's great. It's a great place to shop at your local RV dealer.
Absolutely. So those stories and more coming up on this week's edition of the Camper Report Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Camper Report Show. My name is John DiPietro, and I'm joined by Bob Zagami. And Bob, there's so much news that's going on this week in the industry at a time of the year when you think things are starting to slow down, but really the reports came out about the October shipments, and it's really great news for the industry.
You know, it's funny, John, as we go through this show every week, we certainly don't ever run out of material to talk about. The industry is so volatile right now and so active. We just open up a couple of newsletters and we could talk for a month.
Well, you know, that's exactly right. And the interesting news in November is that the October shipment numbers are available, and almost 50,000 units, actually 47,326 units were shipped in the month of October. It's the second best month ever. And at a time, Bob, when everybody's talking about the bad economic news that COVID has brought on, it's really been a boon to the industry that it probably would not have been that way if it weren't for COVID.
You know, every aspect of our industry has seen unprecedented growth. The new buyers, the new RVs that are going out, the different types of RVs, those people are going out into campgrounds, they're buying accessories and parts in the dealer store. It's just amazing the impact that we have had on this industry.
Well, you know, I think one of the interesting aspects of it is that it's up 21% over 2019. Anytime you see a double-digit growth of any industry, I don't care what it is, you know something's happening, and it's happening in the right direction.
And it's gonna stay active. You know, we're looking at 2021. We're looking at a record-breaking year for the industry since they started calculating shipments. It'll be the best industry ever. They're projecting 507,000 new RVs being sold next year. And I'm projecting that it'll be over 507,000. So when you look at these kinds of numbers for October, and we'll see good numbers right through the end of the year. And then we hit January and Katie bar the door between consumer shows, consumer demand, dealer open houses. It's going to be an incredible year next year.
Yeah, and you know what? Nobody really knows what the full status is of the in-person open houses, you know, the shows that happen all over the country. But last year, a lot of the shows from March on, at least a couple of them in New England and several other national ones were shut down because of COVID. But that didn't stop RV buyers from going to the internet. And one of the interesting aspects of this year's numbers, or October's numbers, were that 42.8 thousand of those units sold were towables, which is up 22% from last year, and 4,500 motorhomes, which is up 9%.
Well,
and interesting numbers.
Going back to what you said about the shows, you know, early this year, we did have the Tampa Super Show in January, and then everything shut down. So we lost the California show, which was a consumer show, very large, and we lost the Pennsylvania show in September. And those shows draw about 70,000 people in 4 or 5 days, and they buy a lot of RVs. So we obviously replaced those RVs with individual sales at the dealership level. So losing the shows probably didn't hurt the total sales. And as we go into 2021, there'll be some shows, there'll be some dealer open houses, but we don't see that that's going to have any impact on consumers buying new RVs.
Yeah, and you know, when you look at the comparison between 2021 and 2020, keep in mind that when the world changed on pretty much the 13th of March, Friday the 13th, you and I were on a plane back from the Winnebago dealer meetings in Palm Springs, and the forecasts then were maybe a 3 to 5% decrease for 2020 based upon 2019, which was, another record year. So who knows what's going to happen? And as we sit right now, I mean, the local news and the national news is all dominated by things being impacted by COVID, where all those news stories indicate more good news for the RV industry and for RVers in general that will still be able to gather with their families.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. And the other news that we saw that was just breaking just hours ago, was that some friends of ours in the RV industry, some veteran journalists, have launched a new publication. Talk a little bit about RV Enthusiast.
Really exciting. I knew it was coming. We just didn't know when, but the press release is out this morning from Bob Livingston, who's the publisher of the new publication. It's going to be called RV Enthusiast. It's going to have a technical orientation to it because as other magazines and websites gravitate towards lifestyle reporting, there's really no place for consumers to go to get technical advice and editorials on what's happening with the standpoint of manufacturers, products, and fixing those products, especially from the consumer standpoint. So Bob is going to be joined by Bruce Hampson, who was another former editor in the business, Chris Doherty, who was a good friend here in Massachusetts, who was formerly a technical editor for Motorhome and Trailer Life, Chris Hemmer, who came from same magazines. They have an advertising director, Sue Seidlitz. I don't know Sue, but she's been with this group before and knows the business. And an old friend, Jim Mack, who I met probably 20, 25 years ago when he was in charge of marketing at Monaco and Holiday Rambler. So Jim's still out there, as many of us are. But This is going to be it's going to be a digital magazine.
And the interesting thing is that they have veteran experts, and they're technical people. Most of them are technical people. And Bob, I think it's been clearly evident up to now that you and I are probably two of the most untechnical people in the RV industry, which allows us the opportunity to bring those guys on as guests in future episodes here. That pretty much wraps up our news segment here on the Camper Report Show. Stay with us. We've got so much more right here on, what's the name of the show, Bob?
The Camper Report Show.
We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's that time of year for holiday gift giving for the favorite RVer in your life. And you know what? The RV behind me is certainly a little too big to fit under the Christmas tree. So we have gone around and found some of the best ideas for holiday giving for the RVer in your life. We hope you enjoy this quick little trip to the North Pole. So the Christmas season has arrived, and regardless of what holiday you celebrate, we know that at your favorite RV store, you're going to find some great gifts. And we're in Massachusetts. We're talking with our friend Jeff at Major's RV. And Jeff, we want to talk to you about Christmas ideas. What do you got?
Oh, John, we've got from seating to eating, John. You name it, we've got it here, pal.
Seating to, you know what? Those are kind of two favorite things that RVers do. They like to sit and they like to eat.
Yeah, they sure do, John. Absolutely, they like to sit and eat.
So when you say seating, Jeff, you're not talking about this, are
you? No, John. I don't want to know those people that are seating there and eating there.
Okay.
Not my crowd, not my people.
Okay, so Jeff, let's see about what you mean by seating gifts.
Sure, John. Let me show you.
And as we all know, one of the favorite activities of an RVer is sitting down. So, Jeff, you've got some nice chairs here. I'm guessing that you could go to a big box store or a discount store and get one for less than what you'd buy in a RV parts department.
John. You absolutely can.
Well, so what's the difference, Jeff?
Well, John, there's nothing wrong with the big box stores chairs, but they're apples and oranges usually when you take a look at the build quality of the chair. So the build quality is really something that a consumer needs to look at. There's nothing wrong if you want to spend the $9.99 or $19.99 at a box store and have a chair that's going to last you maybe the season. I don't sell those chairs. I'm not interested in selling those chairs. So basically what I'm looking for when I'm buying a chair and getting a chair for my consumer is the build quality. Okay. And I'll use this as an example, John. If you take a look here at all of the stitch points, it's double stitched on both sides of the bar, as well as a nice padded, again, double stitched around the pad. It's going to come down to whether you want a chair for a season or you want a chair for seasons to come. And that's basically what these chairs are, and that's the difference between a chair that you'll find at a mom and pop versus a big box store, John.
Okay, and that does also fold up and fit into that?
Yep, fits right into this bag right here, John. And I'm going to be honest with you, it made it look like I'm just sitting relaxing. This is product testing and development, John.
Exactly. You're
very, very good
checking out that product. Now, I have seen at campgrounds and other places these chairs that have actual shock absorbers.
Oh, John, they're absolutely wonderful. It's a rocking chair.
A rocking chair, okay.
Yeah, those gas springs in the back will actually flex so that you can rock. What's nice about it, John, to be honest with you...
Oh, you just happen to have one right
here, John, is finding a flat, even ground at the campground can be a challenge. So in a conventional rocking chair, having those curved arms, if you're not on completely flat ground, you're all over the place as you're rocking. The beauty of this is that the chair itself stays put. The base doesn't move. But as you're rocking,
there you go.
It just goes back and forth. Again, this is product testing and development. Let me just tell you, this is a very comfortable chair.
Okay, so we can imagine there's a campfire right in front of us. And
John, I'm ready, especially with the
thing.
Temperature outside.
Okay.
I'm ready for a little campfire.
Jeff, I know these prices are going to differ throughout the country, but ballpark,
It's
one of these...
about $55, John.
About 55?
Yep, and again, double stitched across, up and back. It's got the nice mesh in the back to keep you cool during the summer months. Lord knows we're anxiously waiting for it to return. It became quickly our #1 selling chair as soon as we brought them in.
Okay, let me ask you this question. I alluded to the campfire, that people like to sit around. A lot of people like to cook around a campfire.
Oh, yeah?
Got any items that would qualify for the person who is the campfire lover?
I sure do, John. Let me show you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I will admit that a lot of the meals that we've consumed in our RV were from the microwave, but yeah, you know what? If it was bad weather outside, but eating around the campfire is really enjoying a resurgence.
Oh, absolutely, John. There's a whole bunch of meals that you can make. You're only limited by your imagination once you have all the proper equipment. But before we even get to cooking on the fire, first you have to make the fire.
Start the fire.
This stuff is pretty amazing, John.
What is it called?
It's called the Go Fire. It's a fire starter. It's just this tiny little packet, and this little packet will burn for about 15-20 minutes.
Okay, and it'll get the wood.
Oh yeah, absolutely, John. Great little
going. gift
idea for the RVer in your life, or for yourself, really.
And that will fit under the Christmas tree.
That will fit under the Christmas tree. So once you got your fire going, now it's time to cook. The other nice thing about that, John, let me just touch base with it. It's safe to cook over that shortly after it burns out. So it doesn't have that.
Fire.
It's not going to have that long-lasting waxy taste that a lot of the other fire starters will have.
Right.
So once you get your fire going, let's get cooking, John.
Okay.
So like I said, you're really limited to your own imagination as far as what you want to do with the fire. We've got a bunch of pie irons that you can put just regular hamburgers in. You can make homemade cherry pies. Just put a couple pieces of bread and some pie filling
and right
in there.
over a wood fire.
Absolutely.
The campfire.
My wife does an absolutely incredible job making a cherry pie after dinner. It is absolutely amazing.
Wow, and it's got, these are heavy-duty metal,
These
right?
are heavy-duty metal. You can do singles, you can do doubles.
Okay, so this one is called the Rome Original Pie Iron. And again, probably available all around the country.
Absolutely,
and,
John.
And we will put the website down for the manufacturers.
Yep.
And,
don't forget your fire gloves.
Gotta have gloves.
Gotta have gloves. Nothing you can reach. You can actually reach right into, grab a burning log and turn it over.
Jeff, show us this thing here. What is this here?
This thing is it will do.
Looks like a clock.
John, it will do a pound of bacon and 3 dozen eggs. No problems whatsoever.
And you know what? I don't care what anybody says. the smell of bacon
In the morning
in the morning at a campground is something that every camper probably relishes.
Absolutely, John. So yeah, you can put that right on the fire itself. When you get done, put it right on the picnic table and have people have at it.
Okay, and speaking of relishes, this grill basket for cooking hot dogs.
You can cook hot dogs, John. You can do fish. You can do burgers. You're only limited to what you want to put in that. It's just a basket.
Grill basket.
Yep, it's just a grill basket. You fill it up. You can put potatoes. You can do a hobo pie in here. Oh yeah, John. You're only limited to what you want to do.
A toaster. A stovetop.
It's actually made right locally, right here in Rhode Island. It's made right in a gentleman's garage. He makes those. Been making those for years and years. His dad started the business.
So we got some other grill items here.
Hold on, John. You almost passed over this
wait
thing.
a minute.
This steak and grill is one of my favorites. So basically, it's completely adjustable. The steak gets driven into the ground.
That's steak. That's not the steak. That's the steak.
Different. Not the steak.
Okay.
And then this is completely adjustable to however high you want to have it.
That is at least what? About 18 inches by 12 inches. That's a good size.
That's a good size.
So you can cook.
You can cook
a wide variety of different
cook for a
things.
family of 6.
There we go.
There's the steak and grill. One of my favorites.
The steak and grill. And look, it's even in French. If you're Canadian. And of course, you can always give somebody the roasting forks.
So the roasting fork, here's a neat, handy-dandy little thing. If you just love Jiffy Pop popcorn, it's a Jiffy Pop popcorn extension.
Don't want to burn your arm.
Don't want to burn the hair in the back of your hand.
Popcorn included.
Popcorn included.
What does that go for?
John, that's a good question, John. This is running about $9.
$9, okay.
Yep.
Great gift idea. All great gift ideas.
For the person who wants to make their own popcorn, it's a popcorn popper with a long handle.
Yeah.
Zoom in there, John. You can take a look. You can make your own popcorn over the fire. Nothing is better than popcorn over the fire with that little smoky taste, John. It's absolutely phenomenal. My wife is a popcorn connoisseur.
And a cook as well.
Of course.
Exactly.
Of course, yeah.
So a couple more things here, and
yeah, we got some more pie irons, John. Here's a neat little thing. It's a solar oven, John. You know, if you're at a campground, some campgrounds don't like that fires, or in the season it's dry. You can actually, you'll actually load this up with food. You'll angle this towards the sun, and it'll actually get to about 500 degrees in here.
Great.
It'll cook just about anything.
Super. So we want to thank you so much.
John,
it's ironic,
pleasure.
Jeff, that we're talking about Christmas and we're under the what do you call it? Palm tree.
It's a nice palm tree, John.
But I guess if you're in Florida, it's appropriate.
But for those of us in the Northeast that wish that we were in Florida, we can at least see the palm tree and think about it.
So we want to thank you so much. And folks,
John,
everything that we've made available to you here today is generally available throughout the country at either your local RV dealer or service center store, or look at them online. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Thanks, John.
Hey guys, it's Phil and Stacy from You, Me, and the RV.
We've been traveling around in our 35-foot motorhome for 2 years now, and I don't know how we could have done it without RV Trip Wizard.
This easy-to-use RV trip planner makes sure we don't show up at the wrong campground on the wrong day.
Right.
Not that that's ever happened before.
Want to learn more about this amazing trip planner? Head over to RVLife.com to learn more about the entire RV Life bundle.
And you can thank us when you meet us on the road.
Okay, welcome back to the Camper Report Show, everyone. We're glad that you stuck with us, and got a special guest today, my friend John Soard from Woodland Park, Park Model Homes. So you got Woodland Park, and you got the Park Models. John's been in the industry for quite some time. Give us a little bit about your background, John.
Yeah, hi, Bob. Been in the industry in Park Models since 1989, and I've worked in the history of me being in this industry. I worked for 3 different companies. First was here at Woodland Park years ago. I left in 1989, and I went to another company called Breckenridge. And then from Breckenridge, I moved on to another company. And then 2016, the owners here, they've been friends of mine for many, many years. They kind of came back and we came back together, and it's been It's been a good company to be with. This is a Woodland Park. In case you don't know, Woodland Park's a high-end custom-built park model. And we really are oriented towards families, towards individuals, not necessarily the big rental park model organizations that are out there that build units for campgrounds that they rent. These are aimed at high-end retail customers.
You know, I've always said, you know, you've heard me say it when I do my seminars, but park models are the best kept secret in the RV industry, and it continues to baffle me because they provide such an interesting vacation experience, especially somebody that's thinking about buying a second home. And if that person's been an RV and had trailers and had motor homes, and they look to destination camping. So tell us where people use them and what they find unique about them, John.
Well, typically, and you know this better than me, Bob, because I know you and I've known you for many years, and I know you have a park model up there in Maine, and you enjoy it. And you enjoy it exactly for what it's designed for. And that they go into RV parks. They're not, you know, set up to be something that are not designed to be set up as a permanent residence, but that vacation home, the home away from home. The popularity of park models, I've said for years, since I even got into the industry years ago, that I always felt this industry was in its infancy, that eventually everybody's going to be parking campers or park models in parks, that's just what it's going to wind up being, because it's difficult to get into a park sometimes on a holiday weekend, and it makes a lot of sense for customers to have something sitting there all the time. That's really where our main focus is. We aim towards those customers that potentially have been using campers for many years, and they found their favorite campground, or they found a good place to be at, and they're ready to stay there for a while. They're going to sit there and they're going to put their camping experiences into a park model, much like what you've done in your experience as well, Bob. So,
well, you know, and the thing that we love about ours, because we've had other park models before we went into Seacoast Resort, where we are up in Old Orchard Beach, and in those cases they were in traditional campgrounds. So many campgrounds have park model sections, or they'll let you put a park model in if you take a seasonal site, but you're in there with the transients and the come and go traffic of daily visitors or weekend visitors. So it functions more like a campground. And what we're in is an actual park model resort, as you know, and it's only park models, 110 of them. It's a gated community. It's just like a unique development within a resort town. Tell us about your experience, or why we haven't seen more real estate developers jump on this bandwagon and build something like Seacoast Resort, where it's totally dedicated to park models, and they certainly work best in perhaps a high tourist area or someplace close by a high tourist area, so that you get the function of being on vacation, but you also get the function of a second home. Talk about the real estate investment aspect of it.
It's interesting question. Why hasn't there been more, I guess, development in that area? I don't have a good answer for that. The reality of it is, I think in my mind, is you look at, the overall development of campgrounds and the way over the years as they've been, usually it starts out as a mom and pop sort of operation. And I know where you're at, and I know your park and kind of the history of what Seacoast has done over the years. I have a pretty good knowledge of what they've done, but that's what they aimed their campground for. Most campgrounds were not set up like that. Most campgrounds were set up to be something that's going to be, you're in for the weekend and then you're gone. But eventually campground owners have figured out that it makes a lot more sense to have somebody sitting there in a park model or in a seasonal site all year long. From a revenue standpoint on their part, they know what their in the revenue is going to wind up being at the beginning of the year, because they already know who's going to be there. from a consumer standpoint, it's so much nicer because on a Friday afternoon, you don't have to hook up that trailer. You don't have to, make sure everything's packed in there perfectly and then get to the campground and get unloaded. And maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, you can get a fire started in the campground. But by that time, you're so darn tired. And then turn around and do the whole thing again on Sunday afternoon just to be able to get home at a decent time. That's kind of what a lot of people can view RVing as. But RVing actually has become something where, in your case and in the cases of other people that have the park models, they get so much more use out of them. They can sit there and they can roll in for the week. They can get up Monday morning and drive from their camper into the office or into the shop, wherever it is that they work, and they get a lot more enjoyment out of their campground, their camper and their campground, just by having a park model, something that's going to be permanently set.
Well, that's what we did this year for the first time. We use it quite a bit, but this year we actually reversed our livability, and we're open from May 1st to October 31st. So we got delayed a little bit because of COVID, but we literally worked and lived in Maine all summer. We came back maybe one day a week if we had appointments or doctor's meetings or whatever, but we actually spent the entire summer up there, and it worked out just incredible, which we'll do. So now we'll do 6 months in Maine and 6 months in Massachusetts. So it is just like a second home. When we go to the shows and we see the consumers, especially when they see a park model for the first time, and I know at our Boston show we get this all the time. They look at it and we get a couple of different perspectives, because a lot of people now who come to RV shows are new to the industry. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what a teardrop is. They don't know what a diesel pusher is. And, they walk down the aisle and all of a sudden there's this big house at the end of the aisle. And we get a couple of questions, as you do in your shows. One is they think that they can just put it anywhere. Or two, they say, oh, isn't that a cute tiny home? So take them in whatever order you want to take them, but address both of those points, because I know we hear it every time we're at a show.
Well, the first, I guess, I'll address is the, where can I park this at? I think I can just put it out in the backyard for an in-law suite or something like that. Most states will really frown on that. Most municipalities will give you a real hard time about it. And especially if you're in a community setting like a subdivision or something like that, it's virtually going to be impossible to do that. The other aspect I'll throw back at you then is the tiny home. And in what I do, it's like that to me over the years has become 2 4-letter words when somebody walks in and say, hey, look at that cute tiny home. But I've learned to accept it a little bit better. It's not a home, and that's something that it's every show I go to, I really try to spend some time to explain to customers what it is. If they don't know what it is, a lot of customers do, but so many don't. It's not a home. It's not your domicile. It is something. It's a home away from home. It's a camper. It is an RV. It's classified by the federal government as a recreational vehicle. And as such, that's what you're going to be using it for. You're not going to put this in a mobile home park. That's not going to be your house. You're going to put this in a campground or in a resort that is set up and caters directly to what you guys are going to be doing, to what each of the customers are going to be doing. And then,
talk a little bit about that, because you also serve in a volunteer capacity on the board of directors of our industry association, the RV Industry Association, and you represent the park model industry. So you set the standards. Talk a little bit about your work there.
Okay. But back in, trying to remember the year that we did it, I think it was 2012. Our industry was on its own prior to that, and we were able to get aligned up with RVIA, which is the Recreational Vehicle Industry Association. They brought us back under their wing as our association goes, and together we were able to work as in unison to get A little known fact is that all RVs and all park models were under the governance, supposed to be under the governance of HUD, Housing and Urban Development, which we fought for years, not fought, but we've worked for years to make sure that we were able to get out from underneath of that and actually trying to get Congress to do their job and finish writing the codes to put us off on our own. By aligning with RVIA and becoming part of that, we were able to do that for the entire industry, not just park models, but for all recreational vehicles now, completely out from underneath the HUD. Actually, the federal government has classified park models as recreational vehicles and not governed by housing rules. That was one of the biggest things that we were able to get accomplished. My time with that association, with Recreational Park Trailer Industry Association over the years, and with the Pennsylvania RV Campground Association, usually working with local municipalities. When you're at that level, you're working with local municipalities that might not understand what a park model is and what the federal government calls a park model. It's really, and we have to be very careful to make sure that we're not selling these to any municipality as housing, because they are not housing. That's not, and if you know the price of the park model, Bob, it's not low income housing. It is luxury living. It is luxury. This is my resort home. This is my home away from home. And mom's going to get what she wants when she buys one of these things. So it's not going to be low income housing. And local municipalities are going to look at it like it might be a mobile home, and we don't want a mobile home community in our area.
No, that's true. Well, John, I want to thank you very much for joining us today and give us a little bit of your time. Any new developments coming out from Woodland Park that we should know about before I let you go?
Well, Woodland Park this year, I think you might have seen it already. We introduced a new item called the basement storage area.
Yeah.
What it is basically is a pass-through storage underneath of a park model. For years, RVs have had exterior storage. So when you hook up to your RV to take it home, or you leave it for the weekend in the campground or whatever, you're able to put your items inside of a storage area in a travel trailer or a fifth wheel. Park models have never had that. And we figured out a way this year to do that. And since we did it and put it together, the dealers are just loving it. It's getting, this year with COVID, not bringing all of our dealers in to look at it this year, it's been a little difficult to kind of push it out to everybody. But once the retail public starts getting their eyes on it, and some of our dealers have stepped up and ordered them, but once the retail public starts seeing it, it's going to be I think it's going to be one of the game changers in the the park model industry, right? That
we'll add some pictures of that, and we'll add the Woodland Park URL so people can check out the website. The website looks fantastic. And again, thank you for joining us today on the Camper Report Show, John. And we will catch up to you down the road when we get back to having in-person events again.
Yeah, I'd look forward to it, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
For joining us on the show this week.
And if you like this show, hit that subscribe button down below. Down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little button that says subscribe. And then when that is done, there's a little bell that pops up. Hit the bell so that every time we have a new show, you'll be the first to see it.
And tell all your friends about it.